Yes, you're most welcome.
Thank you, Dennis, and viewers and listeners, good afternoon. My full names are Odongo Emilio Watum, son of Mbaro, son of Nyaravur Angal Town Council, son of the late Japonji Peter Watum, who taught many people in Greater Nebbi in the olden days. I am excited to be on this show this afternoon to discuss the phenomenon of changing the narrative in Greater Nebbi. I want to start by saying change is always resisted. People want to be in their comfort zone most of the time. But good things and interesting things come from what I call the unconventional. And many times we don't want to follow the unconventional approach to change. Those who did history, me, I did not do history a lot in school. I opted for sciences. Those who did history reminds us that the many names around people who have changed things was because they thought in the unconventional way. The disruptions of processes is what bring the changes we desire. And this change we are talking about, or I'm talking about, is positive change, not negative change. Because development per se is a cumulative transformation of our status. You may be having a small garage-attached house today, but your desire is to eventually have a permanent building with iron roofs, with brick and mortar, because the livelihood indicators now look at some of these things which look better universally. It is different from having a cottage facility where people have very high standard grass-thatched houses for leisure, not for the basic struggling of livelihood. So in 2018, we decided to form the Forum for Development of Greater Nebbi. And the background was basically simple. It was born after Greater Nebbi celebrated the Centenary of Faith at Angal Catholic Parish. Way back to 1917, I think, when the missionaries arrived in Alur land. So 100 years was 2017. And then the celebrations took place. The chief guest was the President of the Republic, and at that time he sent the Vice President, His Excellency Sekandi, and we mobilized at that time. Social media, WhatsApp was still allowing a maximum of 250 people. So we mobilized the sons and daughters of Angal Catholic Parish from around and the diaspora, and the talking was very, very warm. We mobilized 80 million shillings, which was also a record resource to mobilize virtually, and the whole event took 60 million, costed 60 million, and then we found ourselves as the COC. We were left with 20 million UGX. Then we said, okay, let us hand it over to the parish priest to continue evangelization, to continue with the work of God. So eventually, we also thought maybe now we should have also closed the WhatsApp group. But members said, hey, wait, we mobilized this through social media. Let's now change this into a development platform. And then we said, okay, we cannot maintain the name as Centenary of Faith of Angal. Let's change the name. Then proposals were given. How do we call this entity? Members gave ideas until we got consensus that let's call it Forum for Development of Greater Nebbi.
So the idea was incubated from Kampala or from Nebbi?
It was incubated from here.
In Kampala?
Yes, because I remember the first initial meetings we had was in the office of the former Commissioner Local Government, Felix Olarke. Yes, Workers' House. That is where we were having the meetings to synthesize. And we were also trying to come up with the leadership of the forum.
Okay, now what happened after celebration of the centenary
of faith? Yes.
In
Angal
Catholic Parish.
Yeah.
What happened after that? Did you people convene another meeting to have agenda to be achieved?
It was now the discussion on the platform.
Okay.
Because we were not in one place. So we were harnessing the power of technology to gather consensus, and those of us who were in Kampala at the time, we decided to meet from Commissioner Olarke's office.
Okay.
Because it was like a place we could convene at, and another location there where we were meeting was Umacho Ground. You know, there's a popular Pepsi. That's where we always have meetings if we have some things to arrange. So fast forward, there was consensus. Members saw something good in forming this as a legal entity to rally the people of Greater Nebbi to change the narrative. The slogan "changing the narrative" was what I coined as the leader of the new entity.
So what was that narrative that you wanted to change?
Okay. Being born and bred in motherland, Nebbi, Greater Nebbi or Nebbi of the time, you know, we grew up listening to some narratives which were bordering on negativity all the time.
What were those?
When you put up a permanent house, the moment you start with the foundation, the narrative was that you will be killed. When you declare that you have a good job, you're working in a place that is the envy of others, the narrative was like you should not even show that you are there. So this kind of narratives, and then again, if you have money, you have ideas of investing. People were freezing. People's minds were freezing because of the negative narrative that was going around.
So should we say that that explains why the area is not developed like other areas if you have been able to move around the country?
Well, it may be a pointer.
Okay.
But, you know, like I said, from my scientific background, there are certain things you don't assume when you don't have empirical evidence. That's why I always say, when we talk about things around us, we should have evidence, valid evidence, so that we don't create a lot of space for noise. Otherwise, yes, as a sub-region of the Alur people, we have had challenges of what attracts development.
Okay. So what were the challenges?
Now, you know, there are drivers to development. Like what sparks development, what sparks transformation in a given community. Aware that Kampala, being the capital city, was the face of the country, where you find all the social amenities, power, good schools, good road network, hospitals, you know. I think I mentioned schools. So, but when you look at back home, you remember on the 3rd of August when His Excellency came to switch on the substation in Nebbi for the Karuma power line to West Nile. Monitor publication chose a headline on their front page: the 110 debt finally paid by government to the people of West Nile.
Darkness.
You know. Now, what was the liability? It was about darkness. It was about the absence of electric power. Now, over the period, we were having intermittent supply through local generators, through the 3.5 megawatt facility hydro at Nyagak. But the industrial demand for manufacturing could not be sustained by that low level of capacity. So, as we speak now, we believe with the 600 megawatts capacity of Karuma, we should now get into the manufacturing economy.
So we are moving almost 6 months to say.
Yes,
7 months.
Since
Yes,
the commissioning.
So has the narrative changed?
The narrative is changing. Actually, it is very interesting that I think early this morning, my wife, my dear wife, Minaloak Odongo Oliver, she called me, hey, Wun Junior, there's a team that came from Kampala. They are issuing meters, electric meters, for connecting homes that are ready, are waiting for power to be connected. And that you only needed to pay 70,000 shillings to be connected. So, and this was, my residence is in Abindo division of Nebbi Municipal Council. Now, Nebbi Municipal Council has 3 divisions of Abindo, Central, and Tata. So I am still to find out how many of the other households in Central Division and Tata Division also received these meter boxes that were being issued out in a very subsidized rate. So that is part of the change of the narrative. These things were not there. Previously, if you wanted to connect your house or facility to power, you have to apply, wait for a year plus. The current service provider is Wenreco, and in West Nile or Greater Nebbi, we seem to be paying the highest power rates in the country. So those are some of the things that should be changing, and we are advocating for them to change. Otherwise, you cannot do industrial production when the power rates are over the roof. You can't. You can't break even. You can't make profit. So that is why even hotels, good hotels, we have a Satellite Hotel, we have Gulf, we have Happy Hour, we have others. But when power is not there, when electric power is not there, you cannot run on a generator and think of making profit when you're supposed to buy food, pay staff, and maintain the rooms.
Now let's start from there. How can we make good use of this power? We already have the whole substation.
Yeah.
How can we benefit from that?
Now, how to benefit? As a country, we work within the operational framework of government, where there is a planning program, planning schedules at lower local governments and the district local governments and the higher central government. The starting point is from agreeing about or on our priority areas. Earlier on, I mentioned about triggers of development. Power is one of them, which is very critical. We have learned about countries like India. They thrive on cottage industries. You find a household is making a component of a mill, a grain mill, a small component. And eventually they have a collecting point where they do the supplies of what they are promoting in their backyard. So the same we can do as leaders who should be influencing the people we lead, the people we coordinate. And leaders, when we talk about leaders, we should not talk about only elected leaders. Leadership begins from the household. That's why I've always been talking about functionality of the household. It's critical. Even the Bible talks about leadership at the household level, where young children or people should be given the right way to be nurtured, so that when they now grow up, they don't deviate from the principles they've been told when they're young. So leadership is from the household. We need functional families so that we don't contradict the messages about uprightness, hard work, the issues of respect, of authority. Starts from the household. So that's the primary level of leadership. Then you get into leadership of schools, church institutions, before you even get to the political. The political leadership came like at third layer. The people, the colonialists were the highest level of political leaders. They came here and they had to talk to the traditional leaders to understand and accept their coming with their agenda. They talked to the religious leaders. That is why when we talk of church missionary societies, Church of Anglican Church, the Roman Catholic, they were given access to our community through these traditional leaders. So leadership is not only political leadership, and it is all these different levels of leadership that needs to understand our priorities, rally our mobilization, and then we know that on a scale of 1 to 10, this is what we need to do. So as we speak now, I am aware, or we are aware, Ministry of Energy is working hard to see how extension of electricity should go to the last mile. Extension of electricity to public offices, sub-county headquarters, health centers, hospitals, schools, and households. So this is being worked on. I remember, Honorable Nyamutoro Fiona is the Minister of State for Energy, Minerals. And she has been updating our communities, mapping the areas where electricity extension is supposed to go, Rusi area, Kuchwin, the areas within the municipality. So it is about being abreast, being updated, also being inquisitive, because many of these things also need follow-up. You can have a plan, but if you don't work around it or follow up with the different offices that should make it work, they start gathering dust. So that is what I can say in that regard.
Now that one is about power. Now, can we talk about other factors that determine development?
Other drivers of development. Another critical driver is road, the road sector. The road infrastructure is very critical for changing the narrative in development perspective.
So do we have that?
Oh yeah, we have roads. Some of us,
people are developing it.
well, we have roads under different categories.
Yes.
There are community roads, there are district roads, there are central government roads, which used to be UNRA roads. Now UNRA has been, they call it, there was a rationalization. So UNRA is one of the entities that has been rationalized and fallen back to the mother Ministry of Works. Now we, as government, okay, I'm not a spokesperson of government. I'm talking about, I am representing the Greater Nebbi Forum. But we collaborate with government. We coordinate with government. We promote the messages from government. Government is like a polygamist with many women. There's Nyapadwot, there's Nyabjunam, there's Nyarokoro. So there is always limited resource and what they call the resource envelope. But for the resource envelope to be accessed, to make sure that we upgrade our infrastructure, it requires also a spirited lobbying fight, just like in the traditional polygamous household. A mother or a woman who is so meek may not see her children going to school, may not see her children also dressing well or decently, because it is a struggle. So for us also in Greater Nebbi, what I have noticed, or what some of us have seen, the road infrastructure is available, and we have seen quite a number of kilometers of road network which has been opened and maintained over the period. But because of the limited resources, you find there are limitations, there are variations in the level of these roads being maintained. But it is also worth noting that at the national level, we have critical road networks that have all been linked to tarmac. A case in point, by government policy, all international custom points should be connected by tarmac on the trunk road.
And how many custom points do we have?
In Greater Nebbi, we have Goli Custom, which is the big one, with the revenue, monthly revenue of about 550 million shillings every month that comes to the National Treasury. We have Padeya, which is in Zombo, and then we have Vura, which is the border of Zombo and Arua.
What of they?
Dei, okay, yeah, Dei is also an upcoming border custom point. Yes, Dei is in Panyimur. So now, ideally, we are talking about 4. Now, all these are custom points which need smooth access for transportation of goods, for transportation of human capital, and for maintaining security. So, and then even health evacuations. Because if you are to navigate in an ambulance with the mother with the pregnancy complication, to save the mother's life and the unborn baby, you need a surface where the ambulance can navigate easily. So now when you have a lot of potholes on gravel and it is not tarmac, if it is tarmac, it is a lot of potholes, then the life of mother and the unborn baby is in jeopardy. So in the perspective of Greater Nebbi, we still have a big challenge. And over the last couple of weeks, you have had the halabaloo about the proposed demonstration to see how government's attention can be drawn to the Jukia site, which is on the Nebbi Goli Road, which is part of the 119 kilometers of the Nebbi Goli Paida Vura section, which is in very bad condition. So this is one area that we want to say central government should up their game and see also our side to make it look better, because we are the basket of northern Uganda as we speak now. Cassava, avocado, Irish potatoes, passion fruit, coffee, you know, name it, all comes from the Greater Nebbi area.
Now let's talk about the human capital development. Is Greater Nebbi having the number that can really cause great change? We are talking about people who are experts, people who are professionals, who can help in driving development in the area. Not forgetting that we are talking about a sub-region that has got no government technical institutions, vocational institutions, fully fledged. It's a region without a university, to say, but with the tertiary institution that is in Pakwach. We don't, I think, one or two.
Just to put the record straight, Pakwach has Pakwach UCC, which is a very old commercial, for institution for training in the commercial trade. We have Pacher Polytechnic, which is government funded, government aided. And then in Zombo, we have Ora Technical. And then we also have the West Nile, the Presidential Skilling Center, which is in Zeu. So it is only, in Greater Nebbi, it is only Nebbi district, which, just to correct the impression.
Yeah, you're right. Yeah.
It is only Nebbi district that doesn't have a government-aided vocational institute.
But have these vocational institutes been able to help in changing the narrative?
Absolutely, yes. We have, my own son graduated from Ora Technical with a certificate in building construction about 3 years ago, or coming to 4. From there, he continued to Lera Technical College, and now he has his diploma in building construction. That many young people who have gone to Ora, many young people have gone to Pacher, many Ugandans have gone to Pakwach UCC. Now, you know, when we train across the different institutions of government or even private, we don't train to only find jobs in our local areas. That seemed to have been the kind of mindset that, my daughter has not got a job with the local government of Nebbi or Pakwach or Zombo. My son is at home. I want to talk to our parents. When we train our young people out of the different levels of institutions, to become professionals. They train for the world. So, in the East African community now, there is free movement of human capital. You can go and set up a construction industry in South Sudan, in Tanzania, or in Congo, or even Kenya. We have lawyers working across the East African community. So we need to unpack our minds so that we don't say, if Nyati Paranwango teach Pacho, then teach pay. It's far from that. Even at the international, in Europe, in Asia, our skilled people are moving. In America, we have alurs working there. We have nurses, we have doctors, we have engineers. So the notion of employment opportunity needs to be rethought. Again, when we didn't have industrial power, we grew up without knowing how things work in the factories. During our time, we knew of the ginnery in Pakwach, the cotton ginnery, for processing cotton. And you know, the factories are big employers. You hear people working in shifts, day shift, night shift. But right now, because we didn't have so much developed factory establishments, at least we are aware of Oyoma, general stowage. Oyoma is in Parombo, is doing a great job. As we speak now, in the whole of West Nile subdivision, or even the Greater North, Oyoma, being a local entrepreneur, is doing a great job and is employing over 2,000 workers. He has his supply chains across Uganda, including Soroti. Even you come to Masindi, you come to Hoima, you find his warehouses where he's supplying his products. So that is now a unique semblance of industrial establishment in Greater Nebbi. And we are also privileged to know that he's making expansion. I am told by June or July, he'll be commissioning his expanded factory facility. So these are the things that bring socio-economic transformation that His Excellency the President talks about, how to bring other Ugandans, the 39%, into the money economy. So when you don't have a good or goods that you are supplying or selling, when you don't have services that you can offer for a pay, you know that poverty will not leave your home.
So let's now unpack the investment opportunities that we have in Britain. We seem to be having land.
There's land, yes.
But the land seems not to be fully utilized.
Productively.
Yes. How can we make this land productive? And how can we we have that breakthrough?
Now, it starts with our mindset. You know, for a long time, our land tenure system has been communal ownership of land. And, we live in a capitalistic world. When we talk about investment is about the money you put in, the machinery you bring in to transform raw material into finished goods. Now, Uganda as a country on record the economy is backed by agriculture. Agriculture is done on the ground, on the soil, on the land. We have a lot of fresh water surfaces in this country. We have the best hours of sunshine in the world, and these are the parameters for crop production, livestock production. Recently, I'll tell you, I had a village meeting in my village. I wanted to initiate a conversation about what is going on. If we talk about socio-economic transformation, how far are we compared to the rest of West Nile or Uganda? I was surprised when I was asking the village folks, you have savings, weekly savings. Where do you get the money from? How do you get what to save? I got three answers. One, the women says they get firewood from the forests, the bushes. They take to the market. When they sell, they save some of the money after taking care of the household requirements. The second source is those who say they have skills. They are masons, they are carpenters, they repair things, and then they have some money, income from which they save. And then another category says, okay, we have some livestock, chicken. We also sell, and then we save. Then I ask them, how many people don't have chicken in their homes? The majority said they don't have chicken. I said, why? They die. You need money to. Then he said, are you aware that chicken comes a lot from Lango to our markets here, including even Congo and others go to South Sudan? I said, yes. Then I asked them, do you know why they rear more chicken than us? An intriguing answer was like, the air there promotes the health of their chicken. And we all laughed. So now, traditionally, you know, we know that these diseases of chicken, or even communicable diseases, move through the air. Talk of measles, they are airborne. So the thinking of our people needs to be sharpened. The people in Lango, they vaccinate their chicken. They treat them timely. And at some moment, they also give them some other additional feeds. So we have every sub-county with a production officer in this country.
What are they doing?
And Greater Nebbi is not an exception. Like my sub-county is Nyaravur Angara Town Council. At the sub-county headquarters, the town council headquarters, there is a fridge in the production unit that is used for storing vaccines. But because we somehow don't care, we don't want to know what it means. You are born as a baby. The moment you are born like this, you are vaccinated. Polio 0, polio 1,
BCG.
polio 2, BCG, and then finally at 9 months, measles. So all these are things of how to take care of young lives, whether it is human life, whether it is livestock, chicken, or animals. They need care if we are to benefit from them. So it is something of mindset change. Chicken, a hen can change the narrative of the economy of a household. A hen lays 6 to 10 plus eggs. And when it is incubated well, you find you have 10 chicks. You give them vaccination from day 1. In 6 months, you have 15 chicken. In 1 year, you have more than 50. Now, currently, a big cock is going for 40,000 shillings. Can we really struggle to make a living when we also have our gardens where our staple food, cassava, comes from? So we need to reset our minds so that we are properly guided and follow the scientific approaches to make things work for us.
So there were some areas that were proposed, you know, to be used,
Yeah.
to set up, you know, industries. Before coming on set, you were telling me that Nebbi district local government gave a big chunk of land.
Yeah, over 500 acres. Yeah.
For setting up
Industrial
industry as
park.
an industrial hub. So what is happening? As a local also who hails from that town council where this place is located.
Okay. I will not speculate. I'll
Yes.
talk about what
What you
I know
as a basic, as an ordinary person.
as a voter.
Yeah.
We are aware that yes, government is focused on industrialization of this country to improve on the socio-economic status. The president is very keen. He is focused on moving this country to middle income. But we cannot move to middle income when we don't do manufacturing. Now, a lot of, you know, currently Coca-Cola, Pepsi-Cola, Riam Cola, or Renzori water. Do we have any point where we have a manufacturing unit in Greater Nebbi of these products I've named?
Not in-
These trailers are on the road every day, 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, 52 weeks in a year. From Namanve, you see Crown bottlers, Coca-Cola, Rwenzori water, coming to Arua, going into Congo, going into even South Sudan. And it is a liability. It is a cost on our side. Okay. Because we are just looking at the trucks passing by. And yet,
as the spoiler road.
Yeah, of course, the wear and tear on the road is so much. And yet, that could be reduced when we manufacture these now from the Greater Nebbi area. Nebbi is strategically located with the border of DRC. And the demand for these products from Uganda is immense. So, the industrial park land was given by the district to government. And for now, we are informed that Uganda Investment Authority is working with the Ministry of Finance to see how that industrial park can become functional. Before it becomes functional, of course, there are issues of water, utility of water, utility lines of electricity, and then even road within the industrial park. A 550 acre area, you don't just, it's not small. So you need the road network internally to coordinate the raw materials, the finished products, access to storage. So we are looking at how to ensure that the entity of Ministry of Finance, Uganda Investment Authority, and the district local government of Nebbi working together to see how to conclude on the financing of this infrastructure that need to make the industrial park functional and attractive. And then the allocation, because ideally, you know, we have sons and daughters who have some resources, and they will want to invest in the industrial park. So the issue of allocating the spaces is something that the local government recently had even a pronouncement in the council meeting to ensure that the local content is catered for. So we are hopeful, and between me and you, as you are in the fourth estate, the media, you don't need to sleep. You need to get on the ground. You need to put your boots on the ground. Get to the chairman LC5, get to the RDC, get to the MPs of the area, check out with them what is going on. They are our mouthpieces. They are the ones to follow with central government what is part of the national cake that we deserve. So these are the issues that we need to focus on as we change the narrative.
Now, talk about the water irrigation scheme. The other time I saw there was an interaction fight about that.
Oh.
And, people were getting to understand that there was an investor who was supposed to go there. And we want to find out from you.
Yeah.
You seems to be one of those who are well, versed with the discussion around giving away part of water irrigation scheme to a purported investor that is yet to be known. So maybe as we conclude, give us a clue about that.
You know, Uganda is declared as a planning area. Now, local governments come up with zones for settlement, that's accommodation, for industrial area, for warehousing. So, water irrigation scheme is a government funded program, and it lies on the flood plains of the famous river Ora that has been wreaking havoc on the community in Ragem and Wadlai sub-counties of Pakwach district. So there was a design to harness that water into supplying the irrigation system, and specifically the best crop that will be produced there will be rice, paddy. So by design, government put in money, and by the timelines which were planned, by now the scheme should have been completed. But there were some delays because of some other technicalities, and to date, the technical people report that it is the completion is at 97%. So, no, 93%, meaning about 7% of the works still incomplete. Now, OWC, in its wisdom, is about scouting where in this country can investors be directed. That was how there were discussions and information was shared that there is some scheme of government in Wadlai, which is in Pakwach. So, as a procedure to do fact finding, you know, like when you want to marry from some family, you just don't go with your cows. That I have brought my cows and money, I want to take your daughter. No, there's an advanced team. You go and check, you gather information about this family and this particular lady that you have interest in. And that's what happened. This investor who was showing interest in Wadlai came through OWC, and they came to the ground. They met a few stakeholders. That was in April, especially the leader of the cooperative at the scheme. Now, the leaders of the cooperative said, express your interest in writing. And that was what the investor did. Now, that expression of interest was now brought to the expanded stakeholders meeting. So that it is not like you have a party, you even don't alert people. Like in a wedding, you know, the Catholic church where I subscribe, they say when you're preparing for a wedding, you make announcements are made that Emilio is wedding Oliver. So if you have issues around them, come up. So that is how the stakeholders meeting was planned. So that people, if the people who had issues, they should bring them up. Indeed, the landowner said, for us, we are waiting for government to complete the scheme. Number two, by design, this scheme was made to be used by the local people, not investors. So these were messages and information that was now being shared with the investor in the stakeholders meeting. So, honestly speaking, there was nothing which was extraordinary.
Okay.
So
there was no sinister plan?
Nothing. It was about, can this investor be welcomed? Okay. If yes, what are the terms and conditions? If no, what are the impediments? That was ideally the essence and the spirit of the meeting that took place on the 29th of April. So, unfortunately, some people misunderstood, they misinterpreted the move, and then others were like, this is a move to grab land, which is far from it. So, I want us to be categorically clear that government acts in good faith on the overall. And when we talk about government's initiative at the central level, central government does not work in isolation. Because at the local community level, we have the lower local government, the sub-counties. We have the district local government, which is like the health center 5. Sorry, I mean the local government 5. So, because we have LC1, we have LC2, we have LC3, we have LC4, which is the municipality, and then the LC5 at the district. So all these are layers of governance. So me and you, we need to know at what level should I fit myself in this governance of this country. Let us not stay aloof and then wait to hear what is Emilio saying. Is he saying something that helps us or not? Let's be proactive so that if there's information that we are not sure about, consult. Avoid rumors. Because through rumors, you create more complications and complexities. That's why I always say, let's look for evidences so that they can help us to lobby, to influence, and then to create the enabling environment to change the narrative.
Your parting shots as we conclude.
My parting shots is that we are in very complex world now. We are in the digital world. Social media has come. Some people use it to make money. Some people use it to attack others. Some people use it to fight other people's wars. I am guiding kindly. Let us keep our lanes. Let's respect authority. If you have limited knowledge on some things, let us seek knowledge. Let us ask. They say when you ask, that is the beginning of wisdom. You actually, when you have limited knowledge, the best thing in public spaces is to keep quiet. Because when you keep quiet, people will not know your level of inadequacy. But the moment you open your mouth and then you say things which are so weak, then you mess the whole of your face and integrity in the community. So that's the message I want to leave to my people, that we have a lot of opportunities around us. Let us harness them, let us seek them, and make them work for us.